And so there's a blessing if you can like genuinely appreciate where you are and trust that it's leading you on a path that you're supposed to be on, that's going to get you to where you want to go, even if you're not there right now. And like really having faith and trust. And I'm not like a religious person. It's more like a spiritual trust of just like the universe got me. I'm okay. And so just like really appreciating all of the challenges and excitement and interest, whatever happens, that it's happening for me. And there's no use in like wishing I was somewhere else.
Welcome to the True Leadership Podcast, where we sit down with executive leaders to explore what leadership really means through the lens of their stories, their wins, their struggles, their vision, and their lessons along the way. I'm Ty Hammond, founder of One Mountain Leadership and creator of the True Leadership Approach, an awareness-based path that helps leaders shift their focus from what to do about their problems to how to grow from them. Whether you're just stepping into leadership or are well-seasoned and at the top of your game, your potential won't be realized following someone else's script. But you can draw insights from their stories and turn it into wisdom by putting it into practice in your own life. Welcome to the True Leadership Podcast, where we explore the essence of leadership beyond tactics and performance by sitting down with executives to hear what matters most to them. I'm your host, Ty Hammond. Today's guest is Bradley Jacobs. Bradley is the founder and CEO of Mylance, a platform helping founders and consultants build authentic, credibility-driven content on LinkedIn to attract the right clients. A former fractional COO and early operator at Uber, Bradley has launched and scaled markets across rides, eats, and freight, contributing to Uber Freight's rapid path to a $1 billion valuation. Since 2018, he has focused on making the founder journey more sustainable by turning expertise into trust at scale. A Duke University engineering graduate, Bradley blends operational rigor with sharp positioning strategy to help entrepreneurs grow through clarity, consistency, and authentic visibility. It's my pleasure to have Bradley here with me today. Welcome to the show, Bradley.
Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Every leader, of course, has a beginning. I love starting with this question here on this show. Of course, who we are as leaders at work and in life starts taking shape long before we advance to any executive position of leadership, to any workplace even. Who is someone from your early life or an early experience that you really feel like shaped the kind of leader and the person that you are today?
Like childhood, early life, or early career life, or I can go anywhere.
Whatever comes up for you there. Anything that you feel like, has shaped the person and the leader that you are today is going to be relevant here.
My first boss at Uber, she's an incredible woman, and there's so much I could say about her. The biggest thing that really shaped me was she was so invested in my growth and success. Like it felt so much like that was paramount, more than the business performance and all the shit we were, graded on, if you will. It was like, I want Bradley to win. And look, I made my fair share of mistakes. And she, I once actually, I made a mistake that cost us like 20 grand. And I remember it was like my third week at the company. I was like, oh my God, I'm like, this is it. Right. And the only thing I could do was just come clean. I was like, hey, this is what happened. I literally just misread a document and didn't check a thing, whatever. And she was like, cool. Did you learn your lesson? Like, are you good? Like you learned what not to do? And I was like, yeah, like I'm going to be a lot more thoughtful about, SOPs. And she was like, okay, great. Let's move on. And I'll just never forget that moment of she cared about me. She like saw I was already taking it hard. I knew I learned my lesson, and she was like, cool, we got bigger shit to worry about. This is fine. I know you're in responsibility of it. And it was the first time in my life where I got promoted without asking for it. Like every time after and every time before, it was, I'm fighting tooth and nail. I'm arguing my case. And she surprised me with one. Like I didn't even know it was on the table, frankly. And all of a sudden I was managing a team, and I could go on and on about the things that she supported me through, but she showed me what leadership could look like. And I feel like I've just taken that forward with me ever since.
That's incredible. First of all, I love that story. that you shared. I'm curious because I think it's really, really powerful. I often, I think about care and caring being one of the things we can't fake, and it's so essential to leadership. What are some of the ways that you knew that she actually cared about you? You gave that one story, of course, but what are some of the other ways that came through and how she led that really helped you to know that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, part of it is energetic, right? It's even in the little things and the questions she asks. And it's like, yes, at the end of the day, we are working for a business. The business gets to win, right? Like that is what we're here to do. But it was like, how are you doing and caring about me personally? And that energetic feel of like, we're in this together, even though she was my boss, like we're a team and we have each other's back, right? There's such a feeling that I got from her that I just didn't get in the past from other bosses of she cares about my well-being, she cares about my growth. I think that's a really big one. She's like, "What do you want to create in your life?" And asking that question about where I want to go so that she could give me opportunities to help me learn the skills I needed to learn, experience the things I wanted to experience so that I could move along that journey. I mean, that's so many bosses are like, all right, what needs to get done, goals to hit, projects, OKRs, all this stuff. And she was like, how do you want to develop as a leader? Who, like, where do you want? And so having my North Star in mind for her, it's also how you get the best out of me, right? I busted my ass for her, right? Because I felt seen by her. I felt heard by her. She was giving me these opportunities. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to work my ass off so that I get, it's just like, it all works. It's like a win-win-win, right? The business wins, she wins, I win.
That was going to be my next question, and take it to the place of how is it that Uber benefited
Oh my God.
from her caring about you so much, and I think this is the piece that especially through your experience, and it's so obvious and apparent how impactful this was to you. So I think it'd be really worthwhile to stop on this for a moment, because it's not just about you feeling good about you, it's also about like, how did that benefit the business, right? How did that show up for Uber?
Well, I was loyal as hell, right? I was in crazy ownership over the business performance. And it was one of the key values of Uber at the time. It was called be an owner, not a renter, right? You are in ownership of your city, because you were pretty much like siloed, like you own the city, right? I was originally started with Raleigh, North Carolina. So it's like Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill are mine. And I am solely responsible for the performance. And whatever the hell that takes, I get to do. And that at the beginning, we didn't have support agents. So I was responding to somewhere between 500 and 1,000 driver emails a week. And our biggest times, as you can imagine, are Friday and Saturday night from like 11 p.m. to 2 in the morning. All right. People leave the bars. So you bet your ass I was in front of a computer for a lot of those nights, or taking shifts or switching off, whatever. Valentine's Day, Halloween, New Year's Eve. Those are the biggest days and times for Uber. So from a outcome in the business, they got me as a full owner of like, I am responsible for this and I'm going to treat it like it's my family, my life. And I did. And I was like, this is mine and I am responsible and I will make it work. I will make this happen.
It's such a great example. I think of the adage, you can tell people what to do, but you can't tell them to want to do it. That's where leadership comes in. It's such a, thank you for expounding a bit. I think it's, helpful to whoever's going to listen there. Of course, this is the True Leadership Podcast. I'm curious, what does true leadership mean to you? What makes a true leader in your eyes?
There's a few things that come to mind. The first one is actually not being needed. It's like there's a value in hiring the right people, setting them up for success, empowering them. You get to set the vision and the North Star as the leader. But then you're basically like, I'm hopefully not the smartest person in the room in any one of these aspects. I want to hire someone smarter than me in marketing, and sales, and ops, and product, and finance on down the line, so that you guys go do your jobs and I'll just be here to support you. It's like almost like reverse, right? So that's how I think of like almost like bottoms up leadership. Like how can I push them to be the best that they can be at their job and their expertise? And I really hope I don't know their stuff better than they do. I think that's a huge part of leadership that you get to get your ego out of the way, right? It's not about you being needed. It's not about you being the smartest. It's not about you being the know-it-all, like, just because you're CEO, whatever. So I really love that principle of leadership. And then I do think, to what we talked about earlier, is understanding what motivates people, because it's not the same thing. Everyone's not motivated by money and power and titles and whatever. It's just not true. I remember, I'm going to tell you a quick story. Earlier, he's no longer with me, but I had a CTO at Mylance for 4 years, and he was in South America. And so, I only got to see him so often, but he was an incredible, incredible value add to the company. And I loved working with him. And I, at one point, sent him a random bonus. It wasn't like bonus time or anything like that. I was like, you know what? Like, I really appreciate the value that you're bringing. So here's a check. And I wrote a nice note alongside it. And a few months later, we were at an offsite. We were down in Mexico, and I asked him, I was like, what was it like to receive that? And he's like, Bradley, your letter meant so much to me. And I was like, okay, great. Like, what about the check? I thought you'd be like really excited about the money, especially, down in South America. It just goes so much further, right? And he's like, yeah, that was nice. But like, the letter really like touched my heart and really made me feel seen in the value that I'm adding here. And I was just kind of like mind blown in the moment of just like, yeah, still people appreciate money, like send them money. We have to like pay for our lives here. But he really just wanted to be acknowledged. Like, that's what really meant the most to him. And when I asked him what really motivates him to work hard at Mylance, it was creating software that really changes people's lives, that really impacts people. That's really what mattered to him. So getting to know your people in a way that's deeper, that's a deep level. What's important to them? What do they care about? What are their families like? What are they going through? I mean, you want to keep people forever. I think that's the way you do it.
Yeah, well, I really love that. I'm curious. I'm curious to go a little bit deeper with that motivation question. There is, of course, like just getting to know people, personally. Do you have a particular, what's your way of actually getting to what motivates someone? Do you just like straight out asking them? Are you getting to know it sort of through the lines? I'm curious.
It's got to be both, in my opinion. I think asking up front, in your first few weeks with someone, like, hey, maybe even in the interview process, like, what motivates you? What are you excited about? And then, checking in. There's one-on-ones, in my opinion, are not times for giving the updates in all these projects, right? That's what your ops meeting's for, marketing meeting, whatever it is. Your one-on-one time is, how's it going? What do you like about your work? What do you not like about your work? Like, what do you, I had my VA recently. I was like, scale of 1 to 10, how much do you enjoy working here? Right? How motivated are you? What tasks do you hate doing? Right? Like, really take, like, most people don't ask those questions because it's like taking time out of your busy day to ask. And so I think you got to check in and consistently, right? Maybe at least once a quarter with really the deeper questions. And ideally your one-on-ones are like every week, every other week. But even, deeper questions like, hey, I really want to check in. You told me last time that your North Star was this. Is that still true? Or like, where do you want to be in a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? Like, what's important to you? And then, cool, what skills do you want that's going to help you get there? I mean, really like get to know them and check in. But I'm just ask. I'm such a fan of just like ask the question.
Yeah, you can sort of tell through people's stories. I actually was, before we even got to this place of the motivation, when you were sharing in your first answer, I was like, oh, I bet Bradley, tell me if this is too often over. I'll be like, but one of Bradley's big motivations is ownership, of like owning his own work. And I know it is for me too. And I wouldn't find that too, it may be very similar for a lot of entrepreneurs across the board, as just like really being empowered to own that, knowing that as a motivation.
As far as, yeah, I mean, your work's a reflection of you. I think it's really important that it's not your identity. That's a trap to not get into. But what I put out there is a reflection of me, and it's not necessarily from an ego perspective. It's I'm here to impact people. If I didn't care about impacting people, there's a million other ways for me to make money. That's probably a hell of a lot easier than I'm doing right now, frankly. Like, just to be totally honest. But that's not my main driver in the world. It's important, but it's not my main one. So I'm here to impact people, and me putting a bunch of bullshit online and, with typos or just like bad quality or product that sucks or whatever, that's not going to help anybody.
Can you share about a time when you realized that your way of leading or living no longer currently met the demands of work and life, like a turning point in your own leadership or life journey?
Yeah, I got a good one. I randomly 2 years into Uber was literally offered like go launch Miami Uber Eats. Like we need a head launcher. We got it was and it was out of nowhere. And I was kind of cushy in my job at that point with like I had my team in Raleigh and we were all doing well. And I was like, I got to do this. Like, this is just too cool. I don't know what the hell's going to happen here, but I got to do it. So, long story short, I go down to Miami. We launched the whole market in 6 weeks. They're like, you got 6 weeks to do it. We made it happen. It was hectic, stressful, you name it. And then they asked me if I want to interview for the GM role of Uber Eats Miami. And this is a huge role. I mean, you're talking about at that point, it was brand new, but the market was going to be hundreds of millions of dollars in value. So, I was 26 at the time. It was like, holy crap, this is an amazing opportunity. And I asked them, are you going to allow me to actually potentially get the role? Or is my resume, which I really meant like my age and lack of experience, but I asked, like, is my resume going to prohibit me from having it? Because they asked me if I would interview. They're like, nope, we'll interview you based on your merits, like, even playing field. The long story short is they disqualified me based on not having an MBA, which they obviously knew going in. So I was upset and I was like, okay, fine. Let me go be GM of a smaller market then. Like I'll prove to you that I can do this and then I can move my way up. Fine, no problem. And I went around to these different leaders at the company and I was like, let me do this. And they were basically like, fuck off. Like in no other word, it was just like, no. And it was such a slap in the face in so many ways because like the Miami launch had gone so well. I know my interviews had gone well. Like my boss at the time like sleuthed and found the interview notes. Like the interview went well. So I was like, what? And it was this moment of the feedback being when you ask for what you want, right? And you're not taking into account what's the company's interest and the people above you care about, you're not going to get very far. That's like coming to a business leader and says like, I want to do marketing for you. And it's like, hold on. I don't even know if I need marketing from you. Right? What does the business need? Like people still do this in outbound today all the time. Like, let me do your video editing. It's like, dude, I don't need that. Cool. But like, keep trying. So it's like, I just completely misunderstood at that time. So then took this lesson, saw that we were launching Uber Eats all over Europe. And I was like, oh, it'd be really cool to live abroad. And so I went to these leaders and I was like, look, you need help here. I have launch experience. I will do whatever it takes to help you launch these markets and make sure they go well. And they're like, get on a plane to Amsterdam. That was like the response. It's like, all right. So I put my stuff in storage, get on a plane to Amsterdam. And all of a sudden I'm like helping out with Milan and Madrid and Amsterdam and Paris. And then they give me this opportunity to go launch Milan. And I became the head launcher of Milan at the time, living in Italy, working with this Italian team. Like, I mean, give me chills talking about it. It was an incredible experience. It was so challenging in so many ways. And this has now become a long story, but it was such a slap in the face from the Miami experience and then how I went about it after that completely forever has changed how I look at if I want to get what I want, to find what they care about first and then pitch it from their point of view of how it helps them.
It's a great story. I was in rap the whole time, so I'm glad that you told it. I'd be curious to hear you articulate what it was that you needed to let go of or outgrow in order to get that lesson.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's really almost a sequencing thing of it's important to keep in mind what I wanted. I wanted more experience. I wanted to like have another launching experience or ownership over a market that was going to help me because I eventually wanted to be CEO. I always knew this. I'm like, I want to be CEO of my own company. So the more ownership and different varied experiences I can have, the better. But what's more important to get what I want is what somebody else wants, assuming I need them to provide what I want. So it's almost more of a sequencing. So I think I had to let go of, you know, there's almost an egotistical, Bradley's needs are important, my life's important. And it is. I'm not saying it's not. But to get something from someone else, that gets to be secondary, or I get to weave in what I want into what is important to them. And I just think there's a certain amount of humility and awareness required for me to, hey guys, you need this, and I can help you get that. By the way, I'm going to get my own thing along the way, right? And I learned this. Yeah, go ahead.
I think that's a really, I want to just pull in this particular piece that you're really pointing to, which is, yes, it is this evolution of, I call it like seeing what's needed, right? Like the actual vision to not to just do what's needed, right? But actually see what's needed and the value of that. But the thing that I really hear you saying is it's not like you're forsaking what you want in the process. You're including what you want. You're just growing a larger view and then seeing where your want and desire and utility fit within that larger vision. It's not an either or, it's a yes and. I'm really hearing that in your answer.
Yeah. And to that point, when I eventually quit Uber and I was starting my own thing, and I was like, let me go get some consulting revenue while I figure this out. I was like, let me just try this. Right. I got in touch with this Series A company, and I basically just spent 30 minutes asking them what are all their challenges and all their problems. And when I found out what was important to them, I was like, I can solve it in the following XYZ way, threw together a proposal. And that was how I found my first consulting client. And I was making double what I was making at Uber in like 20 hours a week. All right. It was literally 25 grand a month. And all because I was like, what are you guys struggling with? What's your biggest challenge right now? And I actually have direct experience into exactly what you're struggling with. I was like, I will help you avoid every mistake there is to make. You won't make a single one because I've been there, done this. I was like, I just, this is your problem and I will solve it for you. And by the way, you're going to pay me. Right. But it was the value I was providing was so much more than what I was charging for them. It kind of became this no brainer. They're like, okay, cool. Come and help out. And I was like, really? Like, this is crazy. But sure.
Thinking about your journey over the past few years, what's been the most valuable investment that you've made in yourself for your own growth, personally and professionally?
Yeah. I've done a huge amount of work on myself. I have invested in one-on-one coaches, therapists, coaching programs, masterminds. I'm not going to pretend like I've done it all, but I have spent a decent amount of time, money, and energy on my blind spots, feedback about how I show up in the world, feedback about how I show up in relationship. It's allowed me to be really honest where I hold my business back, where I believe every founder is the limiting factor to their own business. And if you don't work on yourself, your business is not going to grow. That's my take. And so if that's my take, then great, I get to look in the mirror. So, and to give a bit of it's not even a shameless plug because it's not my organization, but I did this program called ALA, Ascension Leadership Academy, here in Austin. And it completely changed my life. It changed so much about how I look at myself, how comfortable I am in my own skin, grew my confidence, my own self-awareness. And you can then go back to staff the program. So you can kind of like keep going through it. It's like how I look at it. It's like went there as a student, went back to staff again. I'm actually going back a fourth time. I just keep getting more and more out of it. And, taking that leap of faith to say, like, I'm going to spend the money and go invest in my own growth. And I'm going to spend a weekend here and a weekend there and another weekend there, not playing and drinking and playing golf and working out and doing all the fun things outdoors. I'm going to like go work on myself. And there's no better investment in the world than one in yourself. Like, it's just, everyone's got to do it, in my opinion.
Hands down, what would you say has been the return on that commitment to yourself?
Oh my, it's not even, yes, like my business is having success from it and how I show up, but I can't quantify the comfortability I am in me, that I can walk into a room and be confident in my own skin. Like there's not a dollar amount I can put on that. And I'm not going to pretend like I don't have insecurities and imposture. Like I have it all, but my level of awareness of it and then the tools I have now to sit in it or overcome it or just be with it or be honest about it with someone. It's a whole different playing field than I was even 4 or 5 years ago. It's not even close. So I feel good in myself. And when you feel good in yourself, like you're kind of winning. I don't need to hit this milestone in the business or all this money. But like, yes, I still want to do those things, but it's not how I quantify or how quantify how I feel about myself. It's not going to, like, I feel good in who I am.
It's amazing. It's such a powerful place to operate from in leadership in life is, when you're already full, happy, confident in that way, you can do things because you want to do them and because you can, but not because unconsciously you're trying to source, confidence for your insecurity or something externally, which just makes in my experience, what everything that you do that much more effective.
Yeah. And it also allows me to have a trust in how things are playing out, right? Things don't go to plan and things, you don't get the growth you want, all these kinds of things. And it's like, you know what? Just as an example, right? Let's say my business had taken off in year 3. I'm on year 6 right now, right? I might never have done the work that I did. I might never have gone to ALA, or I wouldn't have hired that coach or joined that mastermind or whatever. And so there's a blessing if you can like genuinely appreciate where you are and trust that it's leading you on a path that you're supposed to be on, that's going to get you to where you want to go, even if you're not there right now. And like really having faith and trust. And I'm not like a religious person, it's more like a spiritual trust of just like the universe got me. I'm okay. And I can really, even if I can't see the lesson right now, I can appreciate where I'm at, that like there will be like the Miami thing. I was so pissed about that at the time. And what a blessing that ended up being, to be told no. I would not be here where I am today if that hadn't have happened. I wouldn't. I would have probably been a GM Miami for a while, and who knows what would have just been a different world for me. And so, just like really appreciating all of the challenges and excitement and interest, whatever happens, that it's happening for me. And I don't. There's no use in like wishing I was somewhere else. You know.
I just add this, they say that hindsight is 2020. First of all, everything that you're saying is resonating so deeply with me and my own experience of trust and all of the inner work and what that means. But I just, for some reason, the saying hindsight is 2020 came up for me, and like, oh, the 2020 existing in the present moment is trusting that whatever is happening is rolling out just as right, because we can look back and that thing that we were like, oh no, right? We can look back afterwards and say, "Oh, okay." Right?
Yeah.
So interesting. Uh, Leadership, of course, is so much about what we're shaping for tomorrow. What's your vision for your leadership, your legacy, or the impact that you want to have in the years ahead?
Impact is really, it's all about founders. It's all about people being able to really go out on their own. You know, I hear every day another person quit their job to go out on their own and pursue their dreams, and it lights me up. I'm like, yes, like, it's not for everyone. I'm not going to pretend like it is, but creating whatever I can create, whether it's even content that supports somebody's mindset, obviously the tools we're building at Mylance to support founders, like anything that I can do to contribute to making it easier for a founder to sustainably build a life and a business, solve a problem they care about, like solve a problem you care about. If I'm going to be preachy for a second, I'm like, you don't have to just do something to make a check. Like you can go solve a problem you really care about in your zone of genius that lights you up all week, so that you're not like living for the weekends and all this stuff, and you can fund your life. I'm not saying it's easy, because it's not, but that's the legacy I want to have and the impact I want to have on the people around me and digitally all over the world, is to make it that much easier, 1% easier, 2% easier to build that business so people truly enjoy their lives. And then it's this ripple effect, because if you solve a problem that you care about and you give your zone of genius out to the world, you give it away, right? You make other people's lives better. It's such a cliche, but it's just true. So like there's this then ripple effect of like, okay, one more person, one more person, one more person. And all of a sudden, if we're all doing this, good things really happen across our society. So, yeah.
Agreed. I'm curious, what are the ways that you feel like in order to, continue delivering on that vision and that impact, what's your current growing edge, the places where you're feeling the most stretched and are growing personally and as a leader today?
There's two. I'd say the advancements in AI are so exciting. There's a new tool every hour. There's new capabilities. And I'm distracted. I want to learn the new thing and I want to be up to date. I want to be up to speed. I want to play with the things, and there's a balance, because I think it's important to stay up to date, but I can't be distracted all the time. I'm not building my business if I'm distracted at the new latest shiny object. And frankly, it's never been easier to build a piece of software. So I'm like, ooh, like I'm going to solve my problem with this piece of software, and then I'm going to go sell this software to other people, and I was like, no, right? Build my business, solve the immediate problem at hand, right? So staying focused is so, so important and so challenging, and doing it like less is more, simple stuff. Don't offer like 12 tiers, things like that. So my growing edge certainly is around focus. And then I am a perfectionist and I want things to be, I actually had Claude yell at me the other day. It was like, Bradley, we've been spending 20 minutes going back and forth on copy. Like, just ship it. Literally, I was like, whoa, I loved that. It was intense, but it was like, thank you, because I don't want to be spending 20 minutes on copy. I didn't even realize I was spending 20 minutes on copy. Yeah, it was a little like,
I'm looking for AI agents to be a little bit more honest with me. So you must have really taken that far.
yeah, yes. And I'm also convinced that it talks to me how I talk to it, like I'm teaching it.
Nice. Yeah,
Right. So
totally.
I think I'm pretty damn stern with it. And
Yeah.
which also, hopefully doesn't come back to haunt me when they take over. But yeah, but it was a real wake up call, even in this micro moment of like, okay, I really get to like, there's so many things that need to just be shipped. 80-20 rule, 80%, get it done, move on, and it's not like I'm running a behemoth company where my copy needs to be perfect. It does not. Like, just ship and that's basically what it said, is like, you are making micro improvements right now, like ship the damn thing. And I was like, okay, you're right. So perfectionist, like I just got to let it go, and move quickly.
Well, I'm really, really trying to allow your wisdom to speak to me directly, Bradley, because this is something I totally work with as well. I'm just really, really resonating with that, and feel like I feel like is though I've gotten better and better over the years, boy, the continued refinement feels always necessary. So and a reminder is always welcome. So thank you.
You're welcome.
This last piece here is more of an invitation than a question. I just want to give you the opportunity, with the time and the space, to offer to our listeners whatever you feel like is most in your mind and heart to share. Anything at all. Floor is yours. Take your time.
I see so many people held back by fear, held back by the fear of judgment, the fear of rejection, the stories they make up in their mind about, what other people are going to say, or if they're going to quote unquote fail, whatever the hell that even means, or all the stories. And frankly, I've done my fair share of really learning about where this stuff comes from. Right. And it comes from our childhood, some version of, whether it's with our parents or other kids or teachers or whoever, that we feel like we need to be a certain version of ourselves to be worthy and be lovable and get connection. And we take that with us to adulthood until we really grow through it. And some of us never do. And I'm not making it wrong. It's really, really challenging work to do. It's very confronting work to do. But I hate to see that that fear hold people back, because it just doesn't need to be that way. Like, you can have the fear and you can do it anyway. And you'll realize that it's just not that bad. And even if someone does judge you, or I should say when someone judges you, I sometimes ask people on a call, I'm like, so let's play out the worst case scenario. They judge you. They tell you you're crazy, or they tell you you're a piece of shit. Like, are you okay? Can you handle that? And they're always like, yeah, I can handle that. Like, it might suck, it might hurt, but I'm like, okay, great. So that's going to happen and you're going to be okay. Maybe go like cry to your spouse or something like that. And then you get back up the next day and you keep building, right? Because every one person that judges you, there's like 100 you're probably helping. So my whole point of this is to like, I almost want to like trademark, I don't know if I can, but like the concept of take the one step, take the step forward, launch the podcast, write the thing on LinkedIn, launch your product, go put yourself out there because it's worth it. It's rewarding. It's a value add. You get to be in your zone of genius. Like, just fucking do it. I feel like a Nike commercial now because it's just like, it's just worth it. And the fear is, you can fucking handle it. Like, you really can handle the fear. You can handle the judgment. It's going to be okay. And you don't need to just succumb to the life that you've designed so far. If you're not happy in your job, if you're not happy in your relationship, if you're not happy with where you're living, like, just take one step towards changing it. Like, one step. That's my motto. One step.
Well, Bradley, I so appreciate the wisdom that you've shared here with me today. I've really gotten so much out of it, truly. And I'm sure that whoever listens is equally going to benefit from what you've shared here. Thank you so much for being my guest on the True Leadership Podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, Ty. I really appreciate it.
That's it for this episode of the True Leadership Podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe to YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this to catch future episodes. This conversation was brought to you by One Mountain Leadership, where we help leaders grow the capacity, confidence, and presence of true leadership through the True Leadership approach. To learn more about the approach, our offerings, our community, and how we can help you realize your potential in both leadership and in life, visit us at onemountainleadership.com.